What's going on, everybody? So this is a follow-up video to a video I made not too long ago called Is Honkai Star Rail's Endgame Too Difficult? And this brand new MOC that just released really puts into perspective just how much skill is actually required for Honkai Star Rail. Now you see that I have, of course, 36 stars on MOC and max stars on the other two game modes, and naturally you would assume that I may be like a light spender, whale, anything, right? You would not be able to guess the state that my account is in right now. So at first, when I open up my character catalog, you may see that I have a lot of characters, but upon a closer look, you can see that there are a couple characters that I do not have. Some of which are really important to the meta, like Hasterus, Robin, Sunday. The only two meta units I was able to use, or that I even have on my account, are the Herda and Chibi. Everybody else is quote-unquote Powercreep fodder according to this community. And I will say, for the record, this was easily the hardest MOC we have ever had. I think that this is Honkai Impact Endgame level of difficult, maybe a little bit easier, but still this was unbelievably difficult. I think honestly, this is borderline too difficult. I think that this should be the hardest MOC should go. Any harder and it'll be a little bit difficult for me to defend this game. But at the end of the day, as a free-to-play player with so many meta units not on my account, I was still able to clear it. And I will show you the exact team comps that I used right now. On the first wave, I used the Herda, Tribi, Jade, and Lingsha. The Herda is E0S1, E0S0, E0S0, and E0S0. On the other side, I used Fei Xiao, E0S1, Sparkle E3S1, Aventurine and Topaz are both E0S0. And the thing is, I cleared in 5 cycles with both of these units. What it took was a couple of tinkering with, team composition, all that kind of stuff. And I did fix up my Fei Xiao build a little bit, but the team composition part was so unbelievably huge. I don't have all these crazy meta units, so I had to compromise and fix up my team comps. Initially, I was running Tribi instead of Sparkle for Fei Xiao because I thought that, on top of Tribi's buffs, I thought that her follow-up attacks acting as a battery for Fei Xiao would allow for Fei Xiao's ult to be, procced a lot sooner, get it up and going more and more frequently. And also, I do have Dance Stance on Tribi, and I don't have that kind of build on Sparkle. I have a regular Sunday build on my Sparkle with her light cone as well, of course. But then I realized that because of the amount of speed I have on Sparkle, I can get more action with Fei Xiao, and it would be the same effect as if I were to use Tribi. But at the same time, Sparkle's buffs are a lot better with Tribi. The Herda can synergize better with the Herda, or Tribi can synergize better with the Herda and the Fei Xiao. So I decided to swap the two, and the result was ridiculous. I auto-battled on both sides, and first attempt with these two team comps, I got the max star clear. All it took was tinkering with my team comps, and that's all it took. A lot of people are not going to get max stars. I bet you the majority of the players who play this game will not get max stars on this MOC, although I will say they usually don't get max stars. Absolutely difficult. But the fact that I'm a free-to-play player, number one, and number two, I don't go for all these crazy meta units, should be a sign that Honkai Star Rail's Endgame really can be done easier than you might think. Apocalyptic Shadow and Pure Fiction, I don't even think about. Their fodder. MOC, every time it refreshes, I get a little chill down my spine because it is difficult at the end of the day. I'm not gonna lie. As a free-to-play who purposely skips meta units, it is so unbelievably difficult. But the fact that I can clear it with Powercreep units should go without saying, honestly, but I'm still making a video about it anyway. So, back to the topic at hand. Is Honkai Star Rail's Endgame too difficult? I said this in my last video, and I will double down thanks to this brand new MOC. No, it is not too difficult. I think that MOCs like this, honestly, if they're a little bit easier, are going to be fine. I think that this should be the max difficulty. Any further than this, and it'll be, like I said, it'll be a little bit harder to defend Honkai Star Rail. But Endgame should be difficult. It should not be easy to get max star clears. I think that you should be able to use Powercreep units. I will say that right now. Our new units do get shielded heavily, but you should be getting by with Firefly. You should be getting by a lot of the time with Fei Xiao. It really depends. For me, I alternate between these two units. but you should be able to get by using Powercreep units just fine in getting max star clears. Once again, like in every other video I talk about, I'm not talking about 0 cycle clears because I simply do not care. You don't get extra rewards for getting 0 cycle clears, so it doesn't matter if a unit can no longer 0 cycle 3 patches after they come out. You're still getting the same amount of rewards in the endgame anyway, so keep that in mind for the rest of this video. That personally does not matter, but I think that with Honkai Star Rail's endgame, the point should be that you're refreshing it because of the difficulty, but the rewards should be accessible for everybody who spends time investing into all of their units. In this Apocalyptic Shadow, I didn't even use the Herna and I still got by with 2 quote-unquote Powercreep units, and I will say this for the record, neither Firefly or Fei Xiao have been severely Powercreep the way that people are making it out to be. Fei Xiao is still the best single target damage dealer in the game right now, although that might change with Archer. And as for Firefly, she is getting Powercrept a little bit, right, because characters like the Herda casters do exist and they will be better than Firefly. But the thing with Firefly is that the reason why she's so much worse now than she was back then is because the weakness, there is weakness bar inflation and nobody is talking about that. But that is what makes Firefly quote-unquote tier 1 according to Pragman. It's not power creep, right? It's shift in meta. That makes a bigger difference if in a character's value than something like power creep. Silver Wolf, another example, she didn't get power crept, so why is she bad? It's because the meta shifted in favor of basically everything but her, along with Dot, of course. Nihility units right now are just not really the greatest. You're not going to run a Nihility unit with your Herda. You'd much rather run a Harmony unit. But now I'm going off on a tangent, right? One final time, Honkai Star Rail's endgame should be making you reset it, doing multiple attempts. It shouldn't be so difficult to the point where you can't max star it, but it shouldn't be so easy to the point where you can get it done in auto battle first attempt every single time. I think that that's way too easy, and I think that right now the endgame is sitting in a perfect, it's balanced well, I should say. Newer units, as they should be, rightfully so, are being shilled. That's the whole purpose. They want these newer units to have as high amount of sales as possible. But at the same time, you can use power creep units, so I don't even think that the power creep is an issue. Has Sparkle been power creep? Yes, I'll say she has been. Has she been power creep to the point where she's terrible? She's dog water. She's a tier 5 Harmony unit. I should never run her ever. No. She's still good enough to the point where I don't need Sunday. Ren Mei is still good enough to the point where I don't need any Harmony unit. Other than this MOC, this is the first MOC where I have used Tribi because of how difficult it was. Other than that, I literally try my best not to use Tribi because I think she's overkill. I also think she's overhyped, but that's a topic for another day. Honkai Star Rail's endgame is perfectly fine. The fact that I can get by with my units really does say something about this game's endgame. It's easier than people make it out to be. Power creep is not an issue if you can still use said power crept units. But that's about it for this video. There is not much else to say. That's my 2 cents on this whole situation. A follow-up video that I did not think that I would be making, but after this MOC, it really put into perspective how much skill is required. But I'll see y'all. Goodbye.